Okay, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Sunnyvale Town of Sunnyvale Council meeting. Please join me standing for the invocation to be given by Mr. Finch.
Let's pray. Father, I'm so thankful for the town we live in. Such thanks for that. As I look at the crowd and see all of our wonderful public servants, these men and women who wake up daily in service, Father. Just thank you for their passion. We're so blessed as the town to have these men and women stand with us. We pray today as we consider the business of the town that you give us wisdom. We make decisions that are honorable and pleasing to you, that better serve our citizens. But just give us grace as we look these items before us. In your names we pray.
Amen. Please join me standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice. Please be seated. Now time is 7:01. Let me call to order the regular town council meeting of Town of Sunnyvale for Monday, November 8th. For the record, all council members are present, so we have quorum. The first item is introduction of new employees. First one is Kolby Fite. Chief Kendrick, good evening, sir.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. It's my honor to bring you guys one of our new guys. Me in the fire department, I have to be careful because we've already given him a nickname, so I got to be careful when we're introducing himself. Kolby Fite, he got in the EMS business in 2019, and he's Texas guy that's been down there doing the EMS service in East Texas, and had an opportunity to come up here to Town of Sunnyvale and got a job. He started back in July for us, and he is working hard and doing us a really fine job. So I'd like to introduce Kolby Fite.
Kolby. Chief, let me introduce the other two employees also. That way we can all have pictures taken at the same time. Hope if you don't mind. Let me invite Chief Hawks to introduce Josiah Beck and Miguel Portillo.
Officer Beck and Officer Portillo, if I can get you and your family to come up. Hands full. Just give you a couple of real quick background on Officer Josiah Beck and Miguel Portillo. Officer Josiah Beck comes to the Sunnyvale Police Department with over 4 years of patrol experience, most of that as a New York City police officer, before realizing that God made Texas and Texas supports its law enforcement officers. And at that time, they relocated to the Dallas area. While working for the NYPD, Officer Beck was assigned to the 122nd and the 75th precincts and comes highly recommended by his past supervisors. Officer Beck has over 2,800 law enforcement training hours. Officer Miguel Portillo also comes to us with over 4 years experience in the Dallas area. Officer Portillo served honorably in the United States Marine Corps prior to becoming a police officer. Officer Portillo holds an intermediate peace officer license, is a certified advanced crash investigator, and served as a SWAT operator, and also served in the Honor Guard. Officer Portillo also has school-based law enforcement experience. Both Officer Beck and Portillo are currently in SPD's field training program. Please help me welcome them to our town.
Okay, now it's time for announcements. This is the time pursuant to section 551.0415, mayor, council, and staff may report on different items. So this is the time for announcement. Let me start off by making announcement about town manager. Most of you probably already know, Susan Guthrie has served as our town manager for the last 2.5 years. She has decided to retire from Sunnyvale and has taken a job with Arizona. Somebody in Arizona. I think her family is in Arizona. She wants to move back over there. We're going to really miss Susan. She done a phenomenal job here. We really enjoyed having her, but we also very supportive of her desire to be with her family and move on with her life. So we wish her all that is best. In the interim, we have been very privileged to have a very experienced city manager, Bob Turner. Bob Turner, we have known him for a few years in different capacity. Bob was the city manager of the city of Tyler, and he lives in Tyler. So he will be serving as the interim town manager for town of Sunnyvale until we have a replacement manager in place. One of the things I asked Bob, what is his feedback? He said, Mayor, you have a phenomenal staff in town. Every office, every director, every position. He said, we have really, really good staff. So again, I'm going to give credit to Susan and also each one of you for being here. So I do not expect any drop in support or any gap in the way we support and carry out our projects and our different projects. So with that, I want to welcome Bob, and I also want to thank every one of the department heads for stepping up and doing what needs to be done, which you always done, and to continue to serve our town and execute our goal here. With that, I'm going to turn over to council. Other additional announcements. Mr. Allen?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Just want to remind our town and staff and anyone that might be listening that November the 11th is Veterans Day, the 11th day of the 11th month, the 11th hour. And we're going to recognize our veterans at 5 o'clock on Thursday. There'll be a flyby by Kavanaugh Flight Museum. That's be really cool. They'll fly by, make a circle, and drop some smoke. It's really cool to look out your window and see something over our great town like that. So We want to recognize our veterans and thank them all for their service. Come out and join us and bring your family, veterans, and friends as well. Thank you.
Are there additional announcements? Mr. Clark?
I want to announce that we're having the third annual Turkey Trots. It's going to be Thanksgiving Day, which is November 25th, 2021 this year. It's going to be at Raider Stadium, outside Raider Stadium. It's going to start there. There's going to be a 5K and a 1 mile run or walk. It's your choice, whichever one you want to do. And it starts at 7 o'clock. The race will start at 7:30. So show up early, get your spots. It's going to be crowded and packed, and a lot of people are going to show up. So it's going to be really exciting. Turkey Day Trots. Hope you all can make it.
So Mr. Clark, they can start registering now if they choose to. Registration.
You can start registering, and I think it's too late to register or grab shirts, right? But you can definitely register online. And it's sunnyvale.org/turkey trot. So, town of Sunnyvale.org/turkey trots.
I hope everybody who is assembled here and who are assembled here and also joining us through various platforms will come and participate in the Turkey Trot. It will be a fun event. Other additional announcement from the council. Mr. Allen?
Mayor, I have one more. I was not in the Marine Corps, I was in the Air Force. However, November the 10th is a birthday celebration for the Marines. They do that every year. And for those of you that don't know that, just thank your Marines. They celebrate that widely and bigly. That's not really a good word, but on November the 10th every year. Thank you, Marine Corps. Hurrah.
That's a good word for a Marine. All right. Anybody else? Staff, any announcements?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I'm going to close the announcement, moving on to the public forum. This is the time members of the audience may come forward and speak to the council on any items other than personal or legal matters or items on the agenda. If you are here, you may come forward and speak to the council. If you are joining us via Zoom, you may raise your hand. No one is coming forward from the chamber. Erica, anyone raising their hand?
No, sir.
No hands raised. We're going to close the public forum. Moving on to the recognition portion of the agenda. Item number 2, recognition of Larry Graf for obtaining the state of Texas plumbing inspector license. Mr. Goff.
Here we go. Larry, if you'll please stand. Mayor and Council, good evening. I want to take a moment and recognize Larry. As you all will probably recall, in last year's budget, we added a building inspector position and then filled it with Larry Graf. And he's been with us for about 7 months now, and he's awesome. Last month, he sat for and passed the state plumbing inspector exam. And so now he's a certified plumbing inspector for the state of Texas. And so that's awesome for Larry. That's awesome for Sunnyvale. That adds to the confidence that people should feel in development in Sunnyvale and the quality of construction in the community. And so I hope you'll help me in congratulating Larry for his accomplishment. I think we're doing pictures.
There's too many to do. There's just too many different ones.
Next one is recognition of Judge Catherine Haywood for more than 2 decades of service to the town of Sunnyvale Municipal Court Judge. Judge is here. Judge, how are you? One piece of information. When I sworn in 2010 as a council member, Judge Haywood sworn me in. So thank you very much. Yep.
All right, Mayor and Council, as you know, this is Judge Haywood. Judge Haywood has served the town and its citizens for the municipal court judge for nearly 2 decades, beginning in early 2000. In her time as the municipal court judge, she has presided over traffic violations, code enforcement violations, and many other Class C misdemeanors. In her tenure with the town, Judge Haywood has conducted jury trials, trials by judge, and has ensured that justice was served on behalf of our residents. Her service is greatly appreciated and recognized. Judge Haywood will be missed. Judge Haywood, will you please come forward?
Okay, instead of going back to my desk, I'm just going to announce the next item. That's the recognition and badge pinning for recent promotions within the Police Department Sergeant Sarah Bochers and Corporal Ramiro Ayala. Chief.
I'm gonna turn around. As you know, Mayor and Council, that anytime there's a promotion in a law enforcement agency, it's pretty much a big deal. These officers work hard day in and day out. And promotional process is very competitive, even with a small agency. And these officers rose to the occasion. So I just want to briefly tell you the background on that. Officer Ramiro Ayala began working at the Sunnyvale Police Department in January of this year. Officer Ayala comes to us with over 5 years experience at the Dallas Area Rapid Transit Police, where he served on a federal task force, as well as worked patrolling on the trains. Officer Ayala has over 5 years of experience, is a certified field training officer, and has over 1,500 law enforcement training hours, and holds an intermediate peace officer license. Officer Ayala is known as a hard worker and a go-getter, and leads by example, and has a great attitude and a servant's heart. With the promotion of Sergeant Borchers, the corporal position was vacated by her. Officer Ayala finished in second place on the sergeant promotional process and was thereby first on the promotional list. Officer Ayala will be attending First Line Supervisor School next month in Belton, Texas. Next, we have Sergeant Sarah Borchers. Sarah was one of the first 3 officers that the Sunnyvale Police Department hired in its inception. Over the course of the past 18 months, Sarah served as an FTO before being promoted to patrol corporal earlier this year after a lengthy promotional process. While serving as corporal, she assisted as shift supervisor in the absence of the patrol sergeant. Sarah holds both an associate's and bachelor's degree in criminal justice and has over 7 years of police experience, including time as a patrol sergeant at her previous department. Recently, we had 5 internal candidates put in for the open patrol sergeant position. The candidates underwent a difficult written test, physical agility test, and a strenuous oral review board, compromised from supervisors from the McKinney, Kilgore, Rowlett, and Farmersville Police Department. The total scores were tallied up by the levels of experience and supervision experience, as well as education, military, and violence. When the smoke is cleared, that her chief, I'm honored that she chose that department. Continue her wonderful career. Please help me congratulating Ayala and Sergeant Fulton on their promotion.
Council, I got one more. Item number 5, recognition and presentation of merit awards by Chief Andrew Hawks. Chief.
Busy night for police department. Can I get Officer Dylan Stovall? We have some merit awards to present tonight, Mayor and Council. Anytime we have officers that go a little bit above and beyond what's expected of them, and we like to honor that. And so that's what we're doing tonight. I want to read a memo from Lieutenant Vegas dated November 2nd. On 10/14 of 21 at approximately 6:10 p.m., Officer Stovall was dispatched to Sunnyvale Raider Stadium to assist Sunnyvale Fire on a traumatic injury to a student football player. Officer Stovall was close by and immediately checked out to assist. Officer Stovall assisted the coaching staff with a player who had a tibia fracture. Officer Stovall assisted in stabilizing the student and joined in the efforts to physically carry him out to the parking lot to meet with incoming paramedics. Officer Stovall also accompanied the student and family to the hospital, where his assistance was invaluable to a family in need. Officer Stovall acted quickly and with purpose to help an individual in need that was, for obvious reasons, in extreme pain. His actions are those that we as a department hold in high value as one who is willing to always help another when needed. Comments below came in from on email. It says, Officer Stovall was so helpful to my family last night when Eli got hurt at the football game. Much appreciate his kind heart. He helped us at the hospital as well. So tonight it's my honor to present Officer Stovall with a certificate of merit and a merit commendation bar. Sergeant Gillum, Sergeant Borchers, Officer Llewellyn, and Investigator Mosley to come up, please. I'd like to also read a memo from Lieutenant Vegas. At 7:44 a.m. on October 29, 2021, Sergeant Gillum was dispatched to the 300 block of Barnes Bridge Road to take a report of a burglary of a commercial building. While she gathered evidence, she was able to obtain video from the victim showing the suspect in the garage stealing items. Later that same morning, acting on a hunch, Sergeant Gillum went back to the same location to try and search the immediate area for the suspect or any evidence of the initial burglary. As luck would have it, she received a trespassing call from an individual who owns the property nearby saying he saw a strange car in the ditch off a dirt road near the Barnes Bridge dead end. The car was described as a gray sedan similar to the one that she had witnessed in the video. Upon contacting the complainant, a search of the area near the dead end barricades on Barnes Bridge, and she was made contact with the suspect, who was located immediately afterwards. Sergeant Gillum, Officer Llewellyn, and Sergeant Borchers approached the car in plain view, saw several items of drug paraphernalia and a large amount of narcotics. The suspect, described as a male in his early 20s, was similar looking to the one seen on the video of the crime scene earlier. The suspect was quickly detained, identified, and given his Miranda rights. The suspect then admitted to committing the burglary earlier in the morning and describing what he stole, which was observed in his car in plain view. A further inspection of the vehicle and the suspect revealed a very large amount of methamphetamine and heroin, approximately 3/4 of a pound. The vehicle was towed to the police department where Investigator Mosley was briefed on the incident. She quickly began the arduous task of identifying the narcotics, weighing and labeling everything as evidence, and starting the search warrant process to further process the car. Investigator Mosley spent the better part of her shift and then into the next shift processing evidence, searching the suspect vehicle, and creating the property intake. Investigator Mosley, without hesitation, began the search warrant process and notified her partners with the Texas Department of Public Safety Narcotics Unit to assist in the case. She worked tirelessly along with the others to search and process the car and intake the evidence into the property room. It is at this time that officers were able to clear the following cases based on good patrol work: burglary of a commercial building, criminal trespass, manufacture and delivery of a controlled substance, penalty group 1. At this time, I'd like to present merit awards and merit commendation bars to Sergeant Gillum, Sergeant Borchers, Officer Llewellyn, and Investigator Mosley.
See similarity?
All's beautiful, man.
These are always fun time for council. Be able to recognize and thank some of our best. Appreciate everybody. Okay, moving on to consent agenda items. Council, we have item number 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 on consent agenda. Would anyone like to remove any of the items from the consent agenda? If not, can I have a motion to approve consent agenda items 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 as presented?
Motion to approve.
Motion made by Eldridge. Do you have a second? Second by Mr. Finch to approve consent agenda items 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. All in favor signify. All opposed, motion passed 7-0. Moving on to the discussion and action item. I'm going to call upon Mr. Mike Rose. He is a part of the Community Emergency Response Team, CERT. As you probably recall, as part of a strategic plan, Sunnyvale has been working to set up a CERT, a program, and our Chief Kendrick has been taking lead in Sunnyvale, and he's working with Mike Ross. So let me invite Chief and Mike Ross to come forward. Good evening, Chief.
Thank you again, Mayor and Council. It's my turn now. What I want to say is when I first got here, we talked about council and mayor. We talked about a CERT team, and I really appreciate the support from mayor and council getting this thing off the ground finally. It's taken us a while, a lot of organization, a lot of inquiries that we had to make. And so then we got in touch with Mike Ross, that's over the East Texas CERT, that we hope that, and we've joined their regional response with some other cities. And I'll let Mike share that story because he's very important in creating all of that. So I just want to say the CERT team has been instrumental for us in Sunnyvale already. They were helpful in our national night out with finding a lost kid as well and helping traffic with the police department. So at this time, Mike, it's all yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Mike, welcome.
Hi, Mayor.
Thanks for
Council.
being here.
Thank you for having me tonight. As you probably know, about 2.5 or 3 years ago, this conversation started at the request of the mayor and the chief. And one of the Sunnyvale residents, Terry Reed, meeting for lunch and talking about starting up a preparedness group and making Sunnyvale more resilient in the event of some kind of disaster or any other kind of event that you need help with. With COVID slowing things down a little bit and other logistical delays, here we are finally ready to go. And I want to thank the town and chief for the support and helping getting this thing off the ground. But as you can see from the display, also with the assistance of the 100 Women of Sunnyvale group, the donation that they made, the generous donation that they made to our group, we finally were able to get our trailer all equipped. You can see on there the list of supplies that we've added with a large amount of first aid, traffic control, radios, search and rescue equipment, triage equipment. We talked to Home Depot in Rockwall. Actually, they donated $150 worth of materials to build the shelves that we put into the trailer. And we will be adding to our equipment that will be available for the town. We'll have a drone that will have thermal imaging capabilities for missing person searches. We're going to be getting a portable air conditioning heating unit to put in the trailer so we can work operations out of it, as well as some night vision goggles that we'll have for our team when we're out doing searches in the field on the ground so they can help locate people that are in need of assistance. So we did have our first class here over the summer. We had a small class with 8 attendees, but I know that's going to grow over time as our group is at more events and we get more visibility in the town and people learn what we are and what we do. For those of you who don't know, CERT helps train the community and organize the community at the local level to help respond and just be more prepared if something happens like the ice storm, which we'll probably see things like that happening again. Go to the next slide. So we did have our first event here that we were able to help support the town, the National Night Out. We had 13 volunteers that were helping out from about 5 o'clock until the event ended, making sure that all the pedestrians were able to get back and forth from the school and to the event safely. Our team was responsible for handling all the traffic control along Collins at the traffic circle. Happy to say that nobody was injured and everything went smoothly. And actually my traffic team said they had very little feedback to add other than just some minor things that we've already discussed with the police department. We did talk to quite a few people about CERT, so we're starting to make our presence known in the town. And luckily we were able to help reunite a child with his parents that were missing. After it took about 20 minutes, which is longer than normal, but luckily we were able to get that done and everybody went home safely. So again, I do want to thank town and chief for your support and helping getting this thing going. And hopefully we'll be able to help support the town for many years to come. I don't know if there's any questions anybody has.
Council, do you have any questions for Mr. Ross? I don't have any question, but Mike, I appreciate your leadership and your team support, your diligence in this one. And the chief has been a major partner or leader in this event in Sunnyvale. I know Mr. Egan and myself attended CERT training. I can't remember how many months back, but probably I encourage other council members if you can make some time to attend. A really valuable training. Again, just some basics. You learn quite a bit of basics, and It's a group of volunteers. They're passionate about what they do, and they're passionate about serving and helping others. So, and Mike has lots of energy, and he works diligently to make this work. So if your friends and families would like to serve the town in a different capacity, I encourage you all to sign up and participate in it.
Our next class, I believe it's on February 12th and 19th. It's 2 consecutive Saturdays. It's a second and third Saturday in February. I'm not sure the dates, but I think it's the 12th and 19th. Even if you don't want to become a member of our active call-out team, I haven't met anybody yet that hasn't gone through training and not learned something. So, it's great for your family just to learn what to do in case something bad happens. With disasters like the ice storm hit, even I learned something about my own preparedness at my house and some shortcomings that I had. And the first thing I did after the ice storm was fix those so that should that ever happen again, then everything should be in good shape. So I invite anybody that's interested in coming out to the class. You can go to our website and we should have it listed here pretty soon. So anybody that wants to go can sign up.
Thank you, Mike. Appreciate
you.
you. Okay, moving on to item number 12, discuss, consider and act upon resolution 21-45 to elect a representative to the board of directors of the Dallas Central Appraisal District. That be Ms. Ramsey?
Yes, sir. Mayor and council, the Dallas County Central Appraisal District has 5 members on its board. They represent the following groups: Dallas County, City of Dallas, suburban cities, which is us, Dallas Independent School District, and suburban school districts. We have the ability to cast a vote for the suburban cities representative. The current suburban city representative is Michael Hurt, has expressed his interest in serving another term. So he's listed with an additional 4 members. The nominations are for the 2022-2024 suburban city representatives. We must vote and we must submit our vote by December the 17th.
Thanks, Rachel. Council, let me open up for public comment, then I'll come back to council. This is a public action. This is a discussion action item. So let me open up for public comments. If there's anyone from the members of the audience who would like to come forward and speak to the council, you may do so. If you are joining us via Zoom, you may raise your hand. No one is coming forward from the chamber. Erica, anyone raising their hands?
No, sir.
No hands raised. I'm going to close the public comments. Council, I don't know, you have a chance to go through the resumes Ms. Ramsey sent out. I went through it, just kind of quick summary, Michael Hurt, obviously nominated by a few cities, and he's a current member. I think his background is a mortician, and that's his profession. Shante L. Allen, nominated by City of Glen Heights. Shante is in the education field. Diana Cartwright, nominated by City of Irving. And Diane is she's a realtor. Brad Franks, nominated by the City of Saxe. He's a current council member, and also, I won't say he's a physician assistant or something. Yeah. The last one is Steve Nichols, nominated by City of Hutchinson. He's a master plumber or plumber. That's the just kind of if that industry at all, kind of background about it. I'll give you my thoughts, and then you can talk about it. So, I thought Brad Franks at least part of his town as a city, maybe understand city and what we need and what we want type of things, maybe a little bit better. But again, I don't know anybody other than the resume I got. So I'm totally open to any recommendation, but just give you my thoughts. Open up for council comments.
Mayor, I did go through the resumes as well, and I like the idea of having Brett Franks. He actually is a PA that's kind of connected to one of our surgeons around here. I actually think he would be a good choice. He is local. Don't know anything any more than what they put on the resume, but I too like Brett Franks.
Additional comments, discussions. So Freeman?
So Rachel, we've done this before, right?
Every year we vote, if I'm not remember correctly. Every year, every other year.
Well, it's supposed to be every year, but we haven't done it since 2018. However, we did do it last year in the runoff. portion of this.
All right. And so we voted for Michael Hurt.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Additional discussions. Again, I think what is expected is, action expected is somebody make a motion and we make the appointment, and then Rachel will communicate that with the Dallas County Appraisal District.
Mayor,
Mr. Egan?
I feel like experience matters. In this case, I don't see where any of the candidates have the type of experience that would be needed by DCAD to do the proper evaluations over the other, except for Mr. Truitt. I don't know him.
Mr. Huso?
I'm sorry, Mr. Hurt.
Okay.
I don't know him. I don't know any more about him than I think any of the rest of you do with regard to the resumes that we were provided. I don't take issue and feel that we should move forward with Mr. Hurt.
Additional discussions.
If there's no additional discussion, then I'll make a motion to.
Look, give me a second, let me finish the discussion. Mr. Clark, you have comments, sir?
Just during this process before in the past, have the people that have been running, have they ever come and spoken to us, or have they only just sent their resumes? to
I
us?
remember once or twice, one of the candidates came and talked to us about their background. I can't remember that. It's been a few years back, but it's not common, so normal for all the candidates. We are like 5 of them to come. I'm assuming that election is done, or this election is done in multiple cities, pretty much the same time period. So maybe they may be visiting at different places.
Right, so they may go to other towns and cities, though, just they don't come to us.
Again, that's a pure assumption, okay? Additional discussions. If not, can I have a motion with respect to item number 12?
Mayor, make a motion to nominate Mr. Hurt.
Motion made by Egan. To elect Michael Hurt as a representative to the Board of Directors of the Dallas Central Appraisal District. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion made by Mr. Egan, seconded by Mr. Freeman to approve Resolution 21-45. Everyone heard the motion? Are there additional discussions? All in favor signify. All opposed? Motion passed 5-2. Yes, ma'am.
You just announced the opposed.
Thank you very much. Voting in favor, Mr. Egan, Mr. Eldridge, Mr. Freeman, Mr. Clark, and Mr. George. Voting against, Mr. Finch and Mr. Allen.
Mayor, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Probably directed to Rachel. So they'll take these nominations back, and then there'll be some sort of an election. And if there's a runoff, then it comes back to us for another vote. Is that right?
That's correct. So all of the cities will send in their nominations. And then if there's a runoff, it'll come back to us for another vote.
Just take it. Thank you.
Okay, moving on to the next item, item number 13. Consider and act upon an agreement with the FSD Electric for the purchase and installation of decorative light poles for Collins Road from US Highway 80 to Troop Road, and authorizing the town manager to execute the agreement in an amount not to exceed $292,356. Mr. Jenkins, good evening, sir.
Even Mr. Mayor, Council. Yes, this is for the ongoing Collins Road roadway project between US 80 and Trip Road. This is for them to procure, deliver, and install a total of 20 poles on the project site, both along the main part of the roadway and then a concentration for them at the roundabout itself. In addition, we're going to be procuring 2 spare poles that will be stored at the town's public works department obviously in case one of them was to get damaged in the future. The type of these poles, the look of them is per the selection that y'all made back, I believe, in late 2018. And we did solicit bids for this, and this was the low bid. We have researched them. Everything appears to be in order. So with all that having been said, I'd be happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Jenkins. Let me take public comments. So I'm going to call for public comments. If there's anyone from the members of the audience who would like to come forward and speak to the council on item number 13, you may come forward. If you are joining us via Zoom, you may raise your hand. No one is coming forward from the chamber. Erica, anyone raising their hands?
No, sir.
No hands raised. So I'm going to close the public comments. Council, any questions or discussions? Mr. Allen?
Mayor, I have one question. Lyle, there's the difference in $20,000 between the installation between these two bids between Collins and Grayburg. Any idea why there's $20,000 difference? It's huge.
Well, the difference is the apparent low bid included installation as part of their delivery. The other firm that was not the low bid, they were going to have our contractor that's doing the current project secured and delivered. The expectation is main contract will have moved off the job site, and come back out, reset up the traffic control and all that. So it's an additional cost on their part. So that's why. It's because FSG is including it in their bid.
I think, yeah, I can see that. I just don't understand why there's a $20,000. Is it just a contractor, a $20,000 different bid? That's a lot of, we're talking about labor. We're not talking about parts.
I agree. I'd have to talk to them and see if I can get some additional information. All I have is the bid numbers to go on. I'd be happy to research that and report back.
No, that's fine. I was just curious if there was something with FSG that we were missing somewhere. Maybe there was something the town was going to have to do. It's the same work, both contracts, it's just 20 different.
It's the same work.
Okay,
Yes.
that's all.
There's no extra work required on our part. No,
Okay, thanks.
You're worried about they come back and say, well, I need this from you, right?
Yeah,
So there are no additional questions.
Yeah, I didn't know. I was just looking at the installation done by a subcontractor on the note at the bottom. I was just curious, there's something going on that we missed somewhere. That just seemed like a huge difference, but that's okay. I don't, you don't need to do anything. I was just curious. Thanks.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Mr. Freeman, you have a comment, sir?
Yeah, my only comment is when I read this, I have a disliking for the word decorative light poles. I mean, these are actually light poles that are needed for the street that we just have to have a different look to them so that they just look more inviting. These are just street lights, right? We're not just spending $300,000 on decoration.
Oh, no. So they are going to be fully functional street lights. It's just they're going to have the ability to have additional decorations put on them to celebrate holidays, town events, and what have you.
Got it. Thank you.
What's the lead time on these?
12 to 14 weeks. And that's going to be the same, whichever contractor we went with. That's just how long it takes to get manufactured, unfortunately.
The additional discussions or questions to Mr. Jenkins? Okay, if there are none, I call for a motion on item number 13.
Motion to approve item 13 as listed.
Motion made by Mr. Freeman,
Second.
seconded by Mr. Ehrlich to approve item number 13 as presented. Everyone heard the motion? Are there additional discussions? None, if there's none, all in favor signify. All opposed, motion passed 7-0. Thank you, Mr. Jenkins, for researching into it. And this was things we want to get done by the time the road comes along, and appreciate you for all the banner options, everything that we could celebrate special occasions.
Yes, sir.
Moving on to item number 14, discuss, consider and act upon agreement with the Capco Concrete Structures LLC for the Jobson Trip Drainage Improvements Project and authorize the town manager to execute the agreement in an amount not to exceed $1,052,548.24. Mr. Jenkins,
Good evening, sir.
Yes, sir. Good evening. This project, this is one that I have reported to y'all before. It has been on the town's CIP committee list for some time. It's actually being bid as one project, but it's actually two smaller projects that we combined together. The first project is the replacement of the existing box culvert that's located under Tripp Road, just west of the entrance to Town Center Park in the 300 block of East Tripp. As y'all will recall, back in 2018, the town commissioned a stormwater study to look at the town's drainage infrastructure, recommend improvements. At that time, this culvert was noted as being inadequate to pass a 100-year flow. If a 100-year flow was to occur at that location, Tripp Road could potentially be overtopped, and therefore would pose a risk to public safety. So this project was ranked highly by the CIP committee, and we did have it designed. And now, again, of course, it's being presented to y'all for contract award after the bidding process. The second part of this project is what we've called the Jobson Road Wetlands Bypass. I'm sure you're all aware, on Jobson Road, just near the intersection with Stony Creek Boulevard, there is a concrete drainage structure that, due to the downstream wetlands, is always at least half or more than half full of water. So it's a standing water hazard to the residents in the area, mosquito breeding ground, and so forth. We can't make direct downstream improvements to the main channel because that's a U.S. Army Corps of Engineers wetlands. So we designed this bypass to put an additional pipe to tie on to this concrete drainage facility, run it a little ways along Jobson and along the Stony Creek Boulevard right of way to a point where we can safely drain it out to allow that area to drain properly and no longer be a hazard to the residents without getting into violation of the Corps of Engineers requirements. So that's what these two projects basically consist of. Our contractor believes that this project can be completed within a 4-month time frame. We will be having to close Tripp Road at that location. So we will need to do some traffic detours, and we will certainly work with everybody on that. But that will enable the project to get done much more quickly rather than if we were to try to do some kind of a bypass. All that being said, I'd be happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Jenkins. Let me open up for public comments on item number 14. If there's anyone from the members of the audience who would like to come forward and speak to the council, you may do so. If you are joining us via Zoom, you may raise your hand. No one is coming forward from the chamber. Erica, anyone raising their hands?
No, sir.
No hands raised. So Lila, Mr. Jenkins have a couple of questions. So the 105 to make is made up of the 883 for the Tripp Road, 123 for the Jobson, and this, what is that, 46,000 for sewer option?
Yes, sir. The reason we include that in there, there's an existing town sanitary sewer that runs near the downstream end of that box culvert. We know the depth of that sewer, but it's a very old sewer line. It's partially in a curve, and due to its age, we just unfortunately were not able to exactly verify its exact location related to that box culvert. So the possibility exists that we might have to spend that $46,000 to relocate that sanitary sewer slightly to avoid a conflict with the new box once we build it. Once we go to construction, we'll of course establish fairly quickly whether we have that conflict or not. If we have the conflict, the $46,000 will pay for the relocation. If the sewer line is clear, then we will retain those funds and that line will just be left alone. But we won't know for sure until we start excavating.
So the one you're talking about is the mosquito breeding ground. That's the one on the Homestead side, almost closer to the Jobson Park, that corner over there, right? Is that?
Yes, so that's quite correct. It's fairly close to Jobson Park, not right at it, but it's near there.
Okay, council question for Mr. Jenkins. Mr. Finch?
Quick question, Lyle. On the Tripp Road project, we're replacing the box culvert, but as I recall, there were some substantial drainage, maybe issues, maybe too strong with the surrounding areas as well. So leading up to the culvert and then downstream from the culvert, seems like we had. So we're going to increase capacity at the culvert. What do we plan on doing with the rest? Are we doing any improvements just up of that, upstream of that, or are we doing anything downstream?
excuse me, as part of this project, the improvements are only there at the box culvert. What I can say is because we are increasing the capacity of that culvert, if we get, let's just say if we get an equivalent flow after the culvert to one that we may have received before the culvert, it has greater capacity and therefore the water elevations would be somewhat less upstream. This in and of itself is not an adequate improvement to remove any residential structures upstream from a existing 100-year floodplain, but it will certainly make it better than what it currently is. We had looked at what improvements would be needed to the channel in order to completely remove upstream residential structures. That's been some time ago. This project here would not be enough for that. It would require a much more extensive project that would really significantly affect all of those residential lots.
I don't believe we've had some significant rain since, what was it, a couple of years ago, and I don't think we've experienced, based on what we already have completed, the amount of flooding that we had. So, thank you. Second question, you talk about closing Trip Road. So will this be closed for a substantial amount of time or temporarily? Are we going to do a workaround where people could still use the road? What's kind of the plan with that?
The intention is we would be just completely shutting the road down for the 4-month time frame in order to do that. The reason for that is because of the configuration of the right of way in that area and because that stream is still going to be there. It's just not practical from a constructability standpoint to construct any kind of a bypass. Closure of this road will not it will not stop anybody from accessing their properties. We will be doing workarounds with our first responders, the school district, to deal with this closure. But in order to get it constructed, it was just felt that closing the road is the only viable option. And again, as I mentioned before, it will enable the project to get done much more quickly than it would be otherwise.
So what is our timing on this project? When do we anticipate starting this project?
We would anticipate starting it, and we would have to finalize the contracts, get the necessary maintenance bonds and things like that finalized. We would be ready to start it, I would say probably sometime in the next 2 to 4 weeks. If we're in a bad weather situation at that time, that timing could be adjusted.
So my concern, Lyle, is that is as you know, I'm not telling you that you don't know. It's a major artery in our town, especially for school traffic. And I'm really worried about, Mr. Mayor, Manager, about shutting down that road during this time. I don't know if there is an option, but we're going to get hammered. I mean, it's not going to be good.
Yeah, summer could be better, but summer is 3 months.
I'm just bringing it up because I know we're going to receive a lot of feedback if we close that road for 4 months anyway. And then if we close that road for 4 months during school time, I'm just wondering if we've given any thought to that. We may not have any option, but.
Is there a better time, maybe summertime? Again, I don't know if contract is available or not, right?
It's again, I mean, I do understand the concern and I agree with the concern. Again, I mean, given the amount of area that we have available and the amount of difficulty and the longer construction time, I just don't see any alternative to doing this closure. We'd have to go back and revisit the project if that's something we wanted to try to put in.
Mr. Jenkins, I don't think anybody's questioning the duration. I mean, that's what it takes. That's what it takes. The question is there a better time to conduct to do the construction? Is that school year is always going to be difficult, right? I understand that. Do we start somewhere in that, I don't know, after March or something, or something? Just asking. That's what Mr. Finch is asking, right? Not about the duration, but timing is the only thing.
We can certainly investigate that. We can absolutely investigate that. I'd be happy to look into that and report back as to what a good time might be. There's no ideal time, unfortunately.
Yeah, I agree. I'm sorry to throw another wrench in it, but I just know the feedback we're going to get on that roadway. It's a major artery, and I could be way off. But again, I don't take kids to school, but it seems like
Go ahead, John. So I guess my question is, so you keep talking about if we want to do it as quickly as possible and as efficiently as possible, that 4 months, close the road down. Is there a way that we can do it where we don't get it done as quickly, but we don't impact the roadway?
In order for us to do that, we would have to build a bypass to keep traffic flowing while that area is being worked on.
Mhm.
And again, given the existing right-of-way width and Trip Road, giving the proximity to that stream, and given the fact that we would have to make significant alterations to private residential properties in order to get that done, there's just not the feasible right-of-way width there now in order to do something like that that would be safe.
Mayor, if I can interrupt, it looks like you have a representative with Cape Cod that's raising their hands on Zoom.
Okay,
Do you want us to allow them to talk?
yeah.
Her name is Misty.
Misty, good evening. Thank you for joining us. Misty, can you hear us? Misty, are you on mute? Misty, if you're talking to us, we can't hear you.
Misty, if you can hear us, if you could put your comments in the chat, we're not able to hear you. Mayor, if y'all want to finish talking,
So what?
if y'all want to finish talking, I can let you know when she
Yeah.
sends a message.
Mr. Allen?
Yeah, well, I have a question with regards to the water at Jobson Road. Where's that water going to run? Is it going to run toward Tripp or toward Town East?
Well, it's going to continue to follow the existing drainage pattern, which does flow toward Trip. It isn't going to be any more water other than just that water that stands there all the time. It's just going to drain that out. But other than just the short amount of time it takes to drain that water, it's not going to have a significant impact in the amount of water flowing in that stream. But it does drain south toward Trip.
So let me ask you this, will the volume increase? Because it won't go toward Tripp. It'll actually go to that midpoint and then down to the Glacier Pond, right?
Right,
There's a
it'll-
point that runs to a down point and then cuts across the Great Glacier, right?
I believe that that particular stream actually doesn't go through the Glacier Pond. It comes down and it sort of bypasses the pond on the east side. So it really wouldn't have any impact on the Glacier Pond. And as I say, it's a small pipe. It's only I believe a 4-inch pipe, if I remember correctly. And so it wouldn't be an increase in peak flow of any significance.
Okay.
It's just a small bypass to allow that one pond to drain down over time so it doesn't just stand there.
That's fair. I was just curious about increasing the volume that's going down toward that low point at Glacier and then cutting across through Tripp Road. But if it's not going to increase the flow, then that was my question.
Right, it's not a significant.
It's not a
change.
significant increase. Thank you.
Misty, can you hear us?
So it's actually John with Cape Co. He said the project needs to be completed before April showers. If possible, you have a great detour.
So April showers, okay, gotcha. Okay, so what is John's recommendation now? Starting when to when?
Well, he just said starting to have it completed before April.
So December to March sounds like he's talking about if it's a 4 months.
We can start now.
So Lyle,
Said he can start ASAP.
yes, okay. Lyle, have we made contact with the school to let them know this is going to happen? Like Mr. Finch said, we will get a lot of feedback.
We will absolutely be sure that everybody, including the school, is up to date on it before the project starts.
And if there is major pushback, let's talk about it.
Absolutely, yes, sir.
School is very accommodating. They are really understanding, but at the same time, they also get feedback. So,
Mayor, I'm just going to go ahead and
Mr.
say
Freeman?
there's going to be major feedback from our our residents, not school residents. It is going to be a big problem.
So John, let me ask you. So John, if you can hear us,
Exactly.
you want to do it before the April shovel. If it's not April shovel, when can we start? Can we build during summer break time? John, if you can hear us, please. Okay, Mr. Allen, you have something to say?
He also said that materials go up monthly.
I know this is gonna be inconvenient, but here's the thing, Collins is inconvenient, right, for 2 years, but when the back's out of it now, it's way better now, right? No matter when you do this, it's gonna be inconvenient now, summer. If we do it next summer, we're gonna have issues with prices going up, or have issues with rain, right, everything else, so.
They had the option to go through Jobson to cut through the Stony Creek. That's just an option. It's already, there's quite a bit of traffic. That's one option. Okay. All right, council additional discussions. Okay. If not, can I have a motion with respect to item number 14, please?
Motion to approve.
Motion made by Mr. Eldridge. Second by Mr. Egan to approve item number 14 as presented. Everyone heard the motion? Are there additional discussions? If there are none, all in favor signify. All opposed? Motion passed 7-0. Mr. Jenkins, thank you very much. John, appreciate you for calling in. Thanks for your input. Hopefully we could minimize the impact and do it quickly. Okay, moving on to item number 15, Mayor and Council request for future staff updates and agenda items. Okay, sounds like we are none. Item number 16, council can have a motion to adjourn into executive session pursuant to section 551.07 for personnel matters, town manager.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn into executive session for section 551.074 for personal matters.
Motion made by Mr. Freeman. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Eldridge to adjourn into executive session. All in favor signify. All opposed, motion passed 7-0. Now time is 8:12. We are in executive session. Thank Okay, now time is 8:38. We are back in open session. I can confirm that as a result of the executive session, no decision needs to be made. With that, council can have a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. Second.
Motion made by Mr. Freeman, second by Mr. Clark to adjourn. All in favor signify. All opposed, motion passed 7-0. Time is 8:39, meeting is adjourned. Staff, I want to thank everybody for being here tonight and supporting it. Really good meeting. Mr. Anderson, thanks for being the council. Appreciate it. Yes, sir. Good night, council.